Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, something of the night about this programme. Could he be shooting's first knight with a K? We talk to Olympic double trap gold medalist Pete Wilson. We've got hunting YouTube, kit special, calendar, new stump. But first, George Digweed is on Poult patrol with an electric powered Polaris. Tonight we're hitting the stealth mode button. George has taken delivery of a new electric-powered Polaris UTV, and it will mean the foxes won't know what's gliding towards them, let alone what's hit them.
It is silent. The only noise you make is what you're running on. Obviously it's a little bit noisier tonight because we were running on rape stubble, but you know, I'm sure when you get onto wheat stubble and grass and then drilled corn later in the autumn, it's going to prove unbelievable.
The dream team tonight is Steve on lamp and George behind the wheel and the rifle. The foxes on this bit of ground in Sussex need controlling to protect poults.
This year is a year like I've never known for foxes. Since the 1st of July, I've actually shot 78 now locally, and there's hardly any corn been cut, so we normally average between 100 and 130 a year on all of the shoots that I control. And I cannot see it being under 200 this year.
George is forever the competitor and was disappointed to have dropped a shot recently. In other words, missed a fox a few nights ago.
I missed my first fox on Monday night, and I'd shot 67 on the bounce up until then. And then after I'd missed the first fox on Monday night, I then shot 11. So you know, that's where we've got to 78, and you know, I think it bears out the fact that one, you can get closer to the foxes, and two, you know, you've got a perfect shot every time.
Once in position, he fires up his faithful polystyrene and glass fox call combo and starts shattering the silence. He keeps it up for about 2 minutes, and our first Charlie of the night appears. George directs Steve to lift the light from below onto our fox, and down he goes. We don't retrieve it immediately, but slightly alter position. And a few minutes later, out in the adjacent wood, pops out fox number 2. For this time of year, George opts for a bigger bullet for his foxing.
I actually, this time of year, I go to a 243. I've started shooting a 243 this year because I just feel with this rape stubble, you know, you look at these big stalks and the little debris that's around it, you know, you get some shards of rape like that. Bullet's only got to touch that and it breaks up. And I just feel that a heavier bullet, my preferred choice of rifle is a 223. And I've shot hundreds of foxes with a 223 and with a lot of success, but I was losing one or two in rape stubbles, and I just felt the bullet was breaking up or just touching something before it got there, and consequently where it's just touching something before it just got there, it was breaking up, and I was giving me a miss, whereas the 243 has really been doing a job.
We cross over a few fields to another vantage point. A few squeaks and an older vixen stops for too long, and she's on the ground. With 3 in the back in half an hour, it's looking promising. The next customer is out of sight, but there's no time to retrieve it quite yet. We spot another set of eyes on the hill above us. Others might have given up earlier, but George is a patient man and uses a mouth call to give the fox something to think about and to keep those eyes flashing in our direction. Quarter of an hour of cat and mouse, and he takes the 280-yard shot.
Oh, that was a beauty.
A long way off.
Before we grab that one, George feels there's still another one to be had here. Again, a cub reacts to the call and starts making its way through the stubble. Fox number 6.
Sometimes at this time of year they'll squeak right up to you, and other times they're just a bit wary. But we've got a lovely night for us, a dead still night. You know, a fox will always, on a windy night, try and come upwind to you to get any scent. you know, they'll always go downwind, so you know, a fox will call to you quite often when he's coming if he's a little bit wary. And this time of year, that you know, you get one or two cubs that are uneducated, and they're easier to clear up.
Fox number 5 is also a young one.
If you actually have a look round here, around the fox, you'll see that, hence the reason we were waiting for 15 minutes, because the rape is actually short enough here that the fox became visible, and then you actually look out further and you can see where the taller rape is. So hence the reason is I couldn't get the bullet through it there, but in this patch where the header was just that little bit lower, I was able to see it clearly on the bank and was able to kill it.
The Polaris is coping incredibly well. We're charging around the farm in one-wheel drive, and the vibration-free shooting position means foxes are dropping at every opportunity. We lie out our 8 foxes, and they are all shapes and sizes.
As you can see here, you know, you've got a cub there that's half grown, you've got a cub here that's 3/4 grown, and you've got a cub there that's quarter grown. So, you know, there's cubs there of all differing ages, which can only lead me to think that there's probably, you know, they've probably had 2 litters, which is probably one of the reasons why we're shooting so many foxes. But I certainly wouldn't want to see the last fox gone, that's for sure.
George is happy that he hasn't dropped a shot, and we've added 8 to his tally. He's really impressed with the Polaris, and he's actually working alongside the company to make sure this bit of kit becomes a must-have for any gamekeeper or pest controller. Now, George touched on the notion there may be other factors keeping the fox population high. Well, a little while ago, we outed the work of an outfit called the Fox Project, which was releasing foxes next to a chicken run. If you're watching this on YouTube, you might like to see that film, which is appearing in the trees behind me. Now, another cub that was released into the wild too young. It's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Britain News. The outlook for grouse shooting this season remains gloomy. A new video from Basque shows just how poor. Moorland gamekeeper Robin Varley and Basque Scotland's Colin Shedden discuss prospects for the season. Click on it to see the whole film. Meanwhile, a major study by the Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust has shown that grouse moors with gamekeepers in place creates a wildlife sanctuary. Upland wading birds such as lapwing, golden plover and curlew do well on managed areas, whereas elsewhere they continue to decline or have disappeared. The GWCT's 9-year upland predation study shows that the breeding success of these birds is 3 times better when foxes and crows are controlled. Even a recent RSPB report has highlighted the value of legal predator control in protecting moorland waders. A viewer has pointed us in the direction of British soap opera Hollyoaks, where producers seem to have gone mad. The programme shows a basic disregard for gun safety and a sequence about airgun shooting. Among horrors, the actors shoot blindfolded, point the air guns at each other and stick them in each other's backs. Broadcaster Channel 4 claims the directors of Hollyoaks researched the use of air weapons before broadcasting. Yeah. Former Basque South West director Jamie Stewart is the new director of the Scottish Countryside Alliance. Originally from Argyll, Jamie has worked for the Countryside Alliance for a year as a specialist shooting consultant. He is managing director of West Country Wildlife Services, a wildlife consultancy and training enterprise. Click here if you'd like to see an episode of Fieldsports Britain where we went wildfowling with Jamie alongside James Green and Jeffrey Alstead. As the American election campaign starts to hot up, Mitt Romney has named his running mate. The new Republican vice presidential candidate is Paul Ryan. As these pictures show, he's a keen bow hunter and shooter, both of white-tailed deer and wild turkeys. Sticking with deer and hitting one can cause terrible trauma, especially when you're a biker. However, this guy is completely unfazed. Click on the video to see the whole film. And finally, it's our 3rd birthday. We launched on the glorious 12th, 2009, and thanks to support from home and from all over the world, our films are now watched 650,000 times a month. It's also a good time to say thank you to the likes of Roy, Andy, Mark, Dom and George, and the hundreds of people we featured in our programmes for allowing us to share their pigeon hides, high seats, shadow their stalks and take up room on their quad bikes. Finally, there's all the forward-thinking companies who realise that video and YouTube is the future and not the work of the devil. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Britain news. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts. Stay with us now for the map that matters and Calendar UK. Welcome to Calendar for those seasonal reminders and dates for the diary. Moon is waning crescent with a new moon on Friday. Complete darkness for the first time in a month means it's going to be a great time to get out after pests and vermin at night. On a more formal front, grouse numbers are disappointing except in northeast and eastern parts of the borders, and the roebuck rut is over throughout most of Britain. Fishing is one of the bright spots. Both sea and game handling continues well in Ireland, Scotland and much of England. Downpours of rain this week are expected to gee up activity in fresh waters. West Wales is seeing rivers above normal levels for this time of year with some good colour. There have been some good catches of suin in the lower to middle Teivi, where current conditions are ideal. However, rain has been limiting night fishing and salmon seem to be going through some of the best known local beats, probably due to the high levels of water. Best fish so far is a 27.5 pound salmon on the Wye, caught by a landowner on his own beat at Glenaravan near Bilthwells. Now, do you fancy your own stretch of the Welsh version of the River Test? Envestors Limited is letting some 1.5 miles of fishing on the River Teivi near Ystrad Meirig, Ceredigion. Visit trawsgoedestates.co.uk. Now, shooters, would you like to meet world champion and Fieldsports Channel regular Abby Burton? She's holding an open day this Sunday, 18th of August at Wellington in Somerset. Bring the family and try out clay shooting, archery and air rifle shooting. There'll be food too. Visit abbyburtonclayshooting.co.uk for more details. That's Calendar for this week. If you have a date for the diary and want to let the Fieldsports community hear about it, drop James a line, james@fieldsportschannel.tv.
Now from David at 0 to an Olympic hero. It's the golden boy of British shooting. Peter Wilson wins double trap Olympic gold medal. We talked to him in the run-up to the Olympics about the disciplines and the sports injury that set him on the road to Team GB glory. Peter Wilson is now the name, face and future ambassador for shooting sports. 12 years after Richard Folds took on the world, Pete has stepped up to the mark and delivered gold. But it could have been so very different. As a youngster, the mad keen sportsman only had eyes for cricket and squash. Shooting was an occasional bit of fun. But then he dislocated his left shoulder, damaging the nerves. And it was his therapy which gave him a taste for shotguns.
I had shot before, but never in a sort of serious capacity. This was back in 2005, if not for about 2000. God, I don't even know when. That's terrible, isn't it? It was so long ago that I don't even know when I dislocated my shoulder. It was a long time ago. I just gone to school, and I went to Millfield for a number of reasons, but sport was definitely on the horizon, and loving it. So that sort of put a scupper to everything. I ended up shooting as a means of trying to get back into rehabilitation. The physios were very keen that I held a weight in my left hand, and so shooting was a great sport to do. Every Wednesday we were going out with the school and shooting. So the physios were keen I carried on, so I carried on, and when I came back to everything else I was pretty rubbish. So I decided to carry on with shooting, and I was really enjoying it by then. And I left school as sort of national champion, and was just really enjoying my shooting.
Pete dabbled with all the Olympic disciplines, but soon realised that in order to get to the highest level, you need drive, support and ambition, but most importantly, you need to love the sport because it is going to take over your life.
Well, I had a go at ski. I mean, I shot English ski, which is a slower form of Olympic ski, for a long time, just for fun, but nothing serious. And I enjoyed shooting Olympic ski, but didn't really love it. And I believe with the Olympic disciplines, you have to love it. You have to want to get up in the morning and train and shoot. Now I'm shooting up to 40, if not 60,000 cartridges a year at double trap alone. So shooting most days, and you have to really, really want to shoot. And with Olympic skeet, I just didn't have that sort of desire. And so I went down the trap route and had a tinkle with Abby's discipline of Olympic trap. Didn't really enjoy it enough, but when I found double trap, I just loved it. It was a lot of fun, and I just found myself wanting to shoot it and wanting to go back to the range and train.
A chance meeting with Ian Coley at a reception at Bisley kept Pete heading in the right direction. He was suddenly training with the likes of Folds, Walton and Scott, and he was hooked. Now, many shooters can hit clays, but what makes the difference is being able to keep your nerve at the top level.
It's being able to control the nerves, because I think everyone is going to be very nervous on that Olympic day. So, and everyone accepts that. So it's then accepting that you're going to be very nervous, and it is that one big day, and then just learning to control it. And I think that's just through practice and as much practice as possible. But nothing can prepare you for that one day. 18
of the 24 competitors in the double trap at London 2012 were shooting a Parazzi. This is an example of Pete's extraordinary bit of kit. If you'd like to find out more about the gun that brought home gold, visit www.ruag.co.uk. Now, a word from our sponsors. It's Kit Special. Introducing the Pulsar Digisight N750 Digital Night Vision, the much anticipated updated version of the popular Digisight N550. This Digisight offers increased performance, digital push-button zoom, built-in infrared laser and an organic LED high-resolution display giving stunning performance and long-range viewing up to 600 metres in good conditions. Here's that zoom in use on a stuffed deer we found. ScottCountry.co.uk, £1,299, and Scott Country will throw in a free Pulsar EPS3 battery pack worth £84.95. That's it. Feast your eyes, fish into your pockets if the website asks you. The promo code is Fieldsports. Thanks for watching. This is Kit Special. Now, the grouse season is underway in the UK, and we're going to bring you lots about that next week. For this week, let's look at how they shoot the African version of grouse. We're walking up francolin. Blaza Safari's lodge in Namibia is a slice of first world luxury in a fourth world landscape. After a hard morning's hunting big game, what better way to relax than to ping a few clay pigeons and walk up some of the local game bird, the francolin. The clays here are designed to behave like African game birds, and they are launched off steep cliffs in a challenging layout.
We were discussing additional things that we could start on Snaderfie at Blaza Safari's lodge. And we decided that clay pigeon shooting would definitely fit into the environment here. We then obviously got the machines in. We got a gentleman from Promatic from England in, and we decided on these two copies which you can see in the background, and we decided to try and blend them into the surrounding areas, and this is what we came up with.
Darren, as a fairly regular shooter, how does this measure up?
Well, it's pretty spectacular, as you can see. Not something that you'd expect to see every day, so yeah, fantastic.
They're pretty tall birds, aren't they?
Pretty tall birds?
Yeah. That doesn't mean they're 6-foot Swedish girls. That means they're 40-yard clay pigeons, Darren.
Yeah, it's set up as a sporting setup, which is absolutely fantastic. And as you see, the different positions on the stand, so you get to shoot the birds from below, from above. So it's a perfect setup.
And you've got a variety of targets here. There's definitely a francolin in there, isn't there?
There's definitely a francolin. There's definitely our sandgrouse. And the high bird we don't have a name for yet, but I'm sure we'll find one.
We all give it a go, some with more success than others.
Lucky second shot.
Lucky my arse. The ribbing is not helping me shoot straight. Their schoolboy behaviour forces me to say rude words after yet another miss. It must be the heat. Now, of course, we're not here for fun. Perish the thought. Darren works for Blaza, and he has flown to Namibia in order to talk about Blaza's super technical shotgun, the F3. What a tough job he has. which I bet you're going to tell me is the ideal shotgun for francolin.
Absolutely. As you said, I work for Pulsar. This was Pulsar's first true shotgun. We've made for many years combined guns with shotgun, but this was Pulsar's first true shotgun. And it wasn't a matter of looking what's on the market and how can we improve that. Pulsar really went back to the drawing board and created something completely new. The main features of the shotgun, my CEO Bernard Knoebel would say it's the trigger, outstanding trigger characteristics. My personal preference on the F3 is the balance of the gun. We have a barrel balancer, or here a preparation for additional weights that can be put onto the barrels, and also in the stock area in here is also a threaded rod with weights on it. So I can literally, for every individual customer, adjust the balance. And I see that at so many events with other manufacturers. People put lead in their barrels, they put lead in their stocks in order to try and get the balance correctly. And this is a feature that we have as a standard.
So let's take it out for real and see whether we can walk up francolin. You see plenty of these birds when you're carrying a rifle and looking for big game. Of course, the moment you pick up a shotgun, they melt away into the long grass. The system here is to drive and spot, drive and spot. When you spot, you stop and try to walk up the birds. We find the first birds near a waterhole. We see feathers, but the bird flies on strongly. Happily, you only have to shout bang in a threatening manner and they fall out of the sky. 100 yards into the bush and Mark's sharp eyes spot the dead bird on the ground.
I don't know if you saw the blood. We followed the blood trail on this francolin, and after
You did
a
not.
good 100 yards, we found him dead.
The second bird is trickier. It's well hidden under a tree. We try to surround it, but with only 2 shooters and a 3-dimensional landscape, it finds the gap and plays it. When we spot the third bird, we employ the kind of stalking technique you might use on a large antelope. Darren gets up behind it and walks it round. Mark is positioned under the tree and the plan works. The bird flies over Mark, presenting him with a long shot made more difficult by the clay cartridges he is using. Again, a few 100 yards away, Mark happens on the now dead francolin under a tree.
Our second francolin for the morning. It's turning out to be a bit more difficult than we had planned. Anyway, we've got 2 for the putt.
For more information about the Pulsar F3, visit pulsar.de. The website is in English and German. For more on Pulsar Safari Lodge in Namibia, go to www.pulsar-safaris.com. Next, let's go international. It's Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting, shooting and fishing videos that YouTube has to offer. Let's start with the foreign films. You will see superb duck shooting in the mangrove marshes of Chinandega in the northwest of Nicaragua if you watch Trek Safari International Duck and Dove Hunt by Sparky Videos 99. Clouds and clouds of birds. Not that you need it in Nicaragua. Milouin from France shows how to improve and change the sound of a mallard decoy, both single reed and double reed. And then we have the Antonio Banderas of air gunning, Freeman Shooting, who has produced a series of films about magpies, crows and pigeons. This is air rifle hunting #8 magpies one day with my gun. He is using a peculiar effect in this film which makes the magpie look like an oil painting. It is certainly no oil painting after he has shot it. On the fishing front we come upon Will Levi Marshall on the River Ur in southwest Scotland, catching his second salmon of 2012. Water is up and fly is a sunray. His channel of sporting vlogs is worth a look, including, as it does, goose shooting. Let's briefly go foreign again to the River Po in Italy. There have been a lot of big catfish caught recently in the UK and abroad. We have featured big cat specialist Dylan Dog 1969 before. This film is a bit special. He's with angler Yuri Crescendi as he pulls in a record catfish called a siluro in Italian, which also means torpedo. Back in the UK, it's that pigeon shooting time of year, so a pleasure to find Cy Pittaway and his friend Gary shooting the farmer's public enemy #1 over stubble on Vermin Hunters TV. We have featured Rob Collins, the old hedge creeper, on Fieldsports Channel in the past, and here he is with his own YouTube channel, Pass It On Young Sport TV. He is pigeon shooting with young shots, including one Josh, who shoots a personal best, or PB as they call it in the Olympics, of 24 birds. Total for the day is 133 birds. Finally, we are not the only ones to film the king of shooting shooting PB's Olympic double trap gold medalist Peter Wilson. That lad is such a media slapper. Clay shooting success as a 2-minute chat with him where Pete does his version of London George Christian Bale, while interviewer Phil Coley does his impression of slack-jawed Sir David Frost. Makes you proud to be British. You can click on any of these films to watch them. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, send it in via YouTube or email me the link charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
Well, we are back next week, and if you are watching this on YouTube and you would like to subscribe to all of our output, click on one of the squares that are appearing here, here and here. If you just want to see this show and not the rest of our stuff, well, you can go to our show page and subscribe there. It's at www.youtube.com/show/Fieldsports Britain, or go to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv, scroll down to the bottom, you put your email address into our constant contact form and we'll constantly contact you about our show, which is at 7 PM every Wednesday, or click to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter in the same place. This has been Fieldsports Britain, Hearts of Oak.